All right, so today what we're going to do is we're going to look at some applied problems involving two triangles. And we're going to use our trig ratios to solve some of these problems that are dealing with actually two triangles. So let's take a look at example number 1. It says a firefighter on the ground sees the fire break through a window. The angle of elevation to the windowsill is 32 degrees. The angle of elevation to the top of the building is 40 degrees. If the firefighter is 72 feet from the building, what is the distance from the roof to the windowsill? So we're talking about this distance here, from the roof to the windowsill. Now, if we look at that, we don't have a right triangle to figure out that distance, but we do have two triangles where we can figure out that distance. So we have the larger triangle, and then we have the smaller one. So if I figure out the distance between the larger and the smaller, then I can subtract the two to find that distance that we're looking for. And I'll make that red so we can see it a little better. All right, so let's take a look at what we have here. We have our large triangle, and we're going to call that X. And then we have our small triangle, the yellow, the side that we're looking to find. We're going to call that Y. Now, a strategy that some students use or can use is by separating the two triangles, and we've used that before. So if I draw the big triangle, that's going to be X, and then that's going to be 40 degrees, and then that's going to be 72. And if I draw the small triangle, that's going to be 32 degrees, and that's going to be Y. And also, that's going to be 72. So what I want to do is I want to set up trig ratios, or I want to use my trig ratios to find those missing sides. Well, what I need to do is I need to write down SOHCAHTOA. Very important. Now the side that I have is my adjacent to the angle, and the side I'm looking for is my opposite, and that's for both triangles. So let's set up a trig ratio for X first. So that's going to be the tangent of 40 degrees, and that's going to equal my opposite, which is X, over my adjacent 72. I'm going to put a 1 underneath. I'm going to cross multiply, and I'm going to get X times the tangent of 40 degrees. X equals the tangent of 40 degrees times 72. Now, I'm not going to figure that out yet. Let's just leave that for 1 second. Let's set up our ratio for the other triangle, 32 degrees. So that again is going to be tangent. So I'm going to have the tangent of 32 degrees. Then my side opposite is Y over my side adjacent, which is 72. Now that's going to be, I'm going to cross multiply. That's going to be Y equals the tangent of 32 degrees times 72. Now that red distance that we were looking at or looking to find, well, if we think about it, the distance equals, well, it's going to be X minus Y. Okay, that's X here minus our Y to get our red. Well, the distance is going to equal, or X is the tan of 40 degrees times 72 minus tan of 32 degrees times 72. And we can plug that all in our calculator. And when we plug that all in, we get the distance is 15.4 feet. All right. So I think a good strategy to use for these is to break up the triangles. All right. Make sure, find out what we're looking for. All right. And break up the triangles to see how we can get that distance. All right. Let's take a look at example number 2. Example number 2 says Alex is standing in the hayloft doorway of the barn looking at a nearby tree. The horizontal distance from Alex to the tree is 30 feet. The angle of elevation of a bird at the top of the tree is 32 degrees. The angle of depression of his dog at the foot of the tree is 40 degrees. What is the height of the tree to the nearest tenth of a foot? Well, let's fill in some information that's given to us. We know that the distance from him to the tree is 30 feet. Okay, and then we know that the angle of elevation is 32. Ooh, sorry about that. 32 degrees. And then the angle of depression, all right, that's this horizontal line. This is outside the triangle. The angle of depression is going to be 40 degrees. Now we're looking to find the height of the tree. So the height of the tree is going to be, that's a bad color, that's a good one. It's going to be from B to C. So what we can do is we can call this X. We'll call this X, and then we'll call this Y. Because if I find those two distances, I can add them together. If I could use my right triangles, find the two distances, and then add them together. Well, let's see. Let's split up our triangles. All right, so one triangle. "32 degrees." And then I have 30 feet. And I'm looking for X. And then the second triangle, that's at 40 degrees. And I'm looking for Y. All right, and remember that distance, that's a shared side. So that distance is going to be also 30 feet. All right, once again, I'm going to write down my SOHCAHTOA. I'm going to take a look. What do I have? According to my angle, I have, or in relationship with my angle, I have the side opposite and I have the side adjacent. And the same thing for Y. I have the side opposite and the side adjacent. So I can set up my trig ratio for X. So I'm going to have the tan of 32 degrees equals the side opposite, which is X, over 30. I'm going to cross multiply, and X is going to equal the tan of 32 degrees times 30. All right, once again, let's leave that and let's move on to Y. For Y, I'm going to have the tan of 40 degrees equals, well, Y over 30. I'm going to cross multiply, and I'm going to get Y equals the tan of 40 degrees times 30. All right, for this problem, it sets up a little differently because now I have to add those two sides. I have to add my X and my Y. So my distance is going to equal X plus Y. All right, or my distance equals the tan of 32 degrees times 30 plus the tan of 40 degrees times 30. And when I add those two together, when I plug them in my calculator, I'm going to get my distance, or my height, equals 43.9. All right. So a good strategy, again, is to separate out the triangles, mark up the figure in terms of the given information. So what I want you to do, I want you, again, to write down the key ideas. All right, very important in your own words. We'll go over that tomorrow. I want you to try your check for understanding. All right, set up those problems. Use the examples that are in this video, and we will go over that also tomorrow. Remember, go Cats, go Knights.